All right, teachers, so you want to have a morning meeting in your classroom, but you're not quite sure what it is or how to get started? I got you. My name's Jenna Miller. I talk all things classroom engagement, classroom fun, and morning meetings. So let's go. Okay, everybody, let's talk. What is a morning meeting? So essentially, a morning meeting is a community circle where your class gets to meet together and go over things that A, your class is either dealing with, or B, just to teach your students how to interact with one another, how to have those social skills that they need in order to be a successful member of your classroom community. So a morning meeting is 4 parts. The first part is a message that students read when they come into the classroom or you read together with them. The second part is a greeting. Then you have a sharing and an activity. So the morning message in my classroom is up on the board as students come in. Because I teach 4th grade, they can read the message themselves. If you teach a younger grade level, you most likely will have the message up, but you will need to read that message to your students. The message just conveys what is happening in my classroom today, what is going on, all of those good things. This is an example of what a message could look like in your classroom. Mine has just like a very simple agenda. I normally have the specials on there, all of those good things. The next part of morning meeting is the greeting. So this is where your students are going to greet one another. This is a really important part of morning meeting because it ensures that everybody is getting the opportunity to talk to somebody else in the classroom. And greeting is really important that you teach explicitly how you want your students to do it, because otherwise they'll just be like, hi, hello. And so I always have like fun greetings, like bounce like a bunny, jump and high five, things like that. But before we even do any of the fun stuff, I teach my students how I want them to greet one another. So shoulders have to be faced towards the person you're greeting. You make eye contact, but it's not staring, right? You talk in a respectful but calm voice. You use a friendly tone and you use friendly body language. If you're closed off, the person that you're sharing or greeting with is going to take that as you being rude. Right? And typically I model this and then I have my students practice, and we practice bad examples and good examples. The next part of the morning meeting is your sharing, and this can be really how you want it to be. The sharing prompts I normally use in my classroom are something like fun, like would you rather live on the moon or live in the sea, right? But you can use sharing prompts that are more specific to your classroom. Like you could give them a hypothetical. If something's going wrong in your classroom, like maybe your students all ran crazy during the last fire drill, your sharing prompt today could be, what happens during a fire drill? Right? And so you have your students collaborate and share on that. In my classroom, I have all my students sit in a circle during the sharing. They turn to one person sitting next to them. Both partners get the opportunity to share, and then I call on a few students to share out with the whole class. And that's just what works best for me. Sometimes I know that people have a sharing piece, like a talking piece, and it goes all the way around the circle, and every student gets the opportunity to share. It's just really what works best for you. A sharing prompt, though, at the beginning of the school year needs to be something that's really low stakes, like do you like soup, salads, or sandwiches? And then as you progress with your students can be something a little bit more intentional, just so that you make sure that you get to know your students before you're asking them. And then the last part, and my favorite part of morning meeting, is the activity. So an activity is either a game or something fun that you do with your students every day. And for me, the purpose is always fun, and that just keeps my students really engaged in morning meeting. They really want to participate, they really want to play, and so they learn the behavior expectations like that so that they can always participate and always have a great time during morning meeting, during the activity. The activity is also like a natural way that students are going to interact with one another. So if they disagree in the morning meeting activity, that's typically how they'll disagree in real life. So it's a great opportunity to really teach your students, how do you want them to interact, right? So like I explicitly teach my students, when we lose, this is the body language I'm looking for. This is what I want to come out of your mouth. You can be upset. This is not what I want to see, though. This behavior from you, right? If we're playing and it gets too rowdy, I want to see this from you. If we are playing a game that takes a lot of movement, I want to see this from you, right? So I explicitly teach my students how to behave during the activity, and then that bleeds over into the rest of the day in our school day, right? Because they can take those transferable skills that they learn in morning meeting and apply them to classroom. Now, the reason I think you should do morning meeting today is because it just teaches your students how to interact with one another. It builds a classroom community. It builds those relationships not only with you, but within your students as well. And it gives you an opportunity to just have something that is the sole purpose of fun. So, have any more questions? Let me know.